Look at them. They think I'm a cop. They're trying to see what I'm doing. Look at them. They're parked in a lot over there. Now they're like trying to scope me out, see, like trying to figure out what I'm doing. Alright, what is going on, guys? Sorry about the lack of videos recently. I've just been really busy with stuff, just life stuff. It's been really hard to make a video. When I'm not busy, it's, I'm in November now, so it's either like really cold outside. Today's kind of mild, so I'm able to, shoot outside, but a lot of times it's been like too cold and then it's raining or something. Of course, there's an airplane. But I'm sorry about the lack of videos. I'm really trying, guys. It's just, I have a lot of stuff that I do want to film. It's just trying to find the time has just really been kind of really the issue. Besides the time and dealing with the weather. But let's get into the video here. I'm going to try to black out the wind as best as possible. I should really change my channel name to Silver Ridge Windy, because that's all you ever hear in my videos. But I want to discuss today, what is the last generation of collectible cars? A lot of these brand new, not even necessarily brand new. We could probably start from 2010 on up. From 2010 on up, these new cars are becoming so, advanced. They have all these sensors, traction control. I mean, all this crazy stuff. It's all electronic. There's all wires and sensors and everything else. And as you guys know, electronics, they go bad, they start to fail. Electronics don't last forever. They have a lifespan. I mean, look at a computer. Within 5 to 6 years, a computer is completely outdated. So just imagine a car with all their electronics, 5 to 6 years. A lot of that's going to be outdated. Look at, for example, cars from the early 2000s, 2005, 2010, with GPSs on them. They're all outdated. You buy a car now that has an old GPS in it, it just doesn't look right. A lot of the old BMWs from 05, 06 that have the, what system is it? It's some type of system that the BMWs have. They're completely outdated. You can't update them. I wish I knew the system. Whatever it is, I can't think of the name of it, but the BMW systems are completely outdated and you can't update them. So it makes the car really dated and old. And that's going to happen with every new car that comes out. You're going to buy a brand new 2020 car, and within 10, 15 years, it's going to be completely outdated, and it's going to be super expensive to maintain these cars and keep them on the road. Now, granted, this car is old. I'm sorry for the wind, guys. I'm really trying to block this out. Let's just go inside. We'll just go inside the car, because anytime I try to make a video, it's just a typhoon, just a friggin' tornado. You think I'm back in the 90s and they're shooting Twister with whatever his name is. But these new cars, they're gonna be, how are they gonna be collectible? Let's look at collectible cars now. Let's go back. 80s cars now are starting to gain traction in collectability. I'd say for many years, 60s, any car before the 60s and 70s, the 70s has been collectible. So whether you buy a 72 or something, 72 Cuda, or whatever, 71 Cuda, or you get a 1907 Model T, all those cars are collectible to some degree. But for those 80 years of cars, since the 1900s to the 1980s, cars, yes, they improved, they got better, things changed, but they didn't change to the rate that they're at now. Cars are definitely a lot more advanced, a lot more things going on, a lot more things to break. And that's part of the reason why they're collectible, because people remember when they were younger, They remember, having a whole bunch of fun in one, like, oh, I remember when I was in high school, I had a 69, Camaro, and I was ripping burnouts in the parking lot, and the teacher sent me home that day, and then I went home and I drank beer, and I banged my girlfriend, whatever. People remember stuff like that when it comes to their cars. So you're going to look back now at these cars 30 years from now. Kids are going to be like, oh yeah, I remember my grandma, she had her Buick Verano, and she would, I used to take her car and go out in the woods with it. Whatever, you know what I mean? The cars now, my generation, the cars that are out now will be somewhat collectible 30 years from now. But how collectible are they going to be? Who's going to want to keep a car that it's going to cost you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a year to keep on the road? The old cars, they don't have all the stuff in them to make them fail. A lot of it's all mechanical. If something breaks, a part, you just replace the part. These new cars are so electronic. If a car sits for too long, it doesn't want to start because one of the computers is acting up or something. You could have a car, my dad's truck, for example. It sat in the driveway for like 13 years or something. We changed the oil and put gas in it and it started up. You can't really do that with new cars. You're going to have some serious problems if you let a new car sit like that. And these new cars are not going to be collectible. That's just how it is. There's going to be a cutoff point. I feel that there's no more collectible cars. The cars that are collectible will remain collectible, and that is it. Personally, I think the cutoff is the 90s to early 2000s. The early 2000s, it was advanced with some cars are very, technical, a lot of technology in them and stuff like that, but there are some cars that are basic. We're sitting in one of them. I feel personally one day the Crown Vic will have some type of value, somewhat collectible. It's never going to be a $100,000 car, nothing like that, but I feel in time, one day the Crown Vic will be worth more than what they are now. Just give it another 20 years, and the Crown Vics are really going to be appreciated because they're really the last car for what they were. There's no other car that you could buy in 2004 that was really like a Crown Vic. I don't know any other car that was like a Crown Vic in 04, especially 2011. In 2011, there was no cars like this. I mean, they were like the last of the breed. And these cars were a 90s car carried into the 2000s. And I really think those are the cars that are going to somewhat be collectible as, we get into the future. My Jeep Cherokee, for example, I really feel that they are going to appreciate and value quite a bit. As you guys know, the Jeep Cherokees are the pioneer for the SUV. That's what started. Every time you drive down the road, you see 100,000 SUVs. It all started with the XJ. That was the SUV that literally put SUVs on the map. Yes, there was SUVs before, and there's SUVs after. But that was the one that made people want to buy SUVs. It was the Cherokee, and that's just how it is, guys. That came out in 84. So, from 84 to 01, they were making Cherokees. They made almost 3 million of them. So there's a whole bunch out there. But when the time comes, there's not a lot of Cherokees left, and they're all at the junkyard. They're all rotted away. They've all been jumped over a stack of cars. They've all been mud bogged to hell or whatever else. When they're all gone, people are really going to appreciate the simplicity, the reliability, the history of the Cherokee. And that's going to go for a lot of cars. And that's really what I'm coming to my whole point here is. If you have a Fox body Mustang, let's say you got a 93, I believe 93 was the last year for the Fox body, it's on 93 or 94, I believe 93 is the last year. Let's say you got a 93 Fox body, the SVT Cobra. They're collectible now. People are spending decent money on those. The more base model Fox bodies, you can get somewhat cheap. You can get like an LX, maybe a somewhat slightly built motor for like $6,000, $5,000. So you can pick up Fox bodies somewhat cheap. But they're starting to go up in value, and I believe they'll continue to go up in value. Now, if you were to buy a brand new 2020 Mustang, it won't go up in value. It's going to just depreciate and depreciate and depreciate and depreciate. And that is because of all the electronics, all the things that are inside the car. It's going to be impossible to keep on the road 20, 30 years from now. There's too much going on. There's way too many sensors. There's just way too much going on. The car will never be reliable unless you spent $100,000 on it and completely got the whole entire car restored. And no one's ever going to restore a 2020 Mustang. It's not worth the cost to do that. They're just not going to be collectible. These new cars, they won't be collectible. You look at diesel trucks, all these new emission stuff on trucks. Now it's really illegal. Before it was illegal to delete them, do all that stuff, but you can get away with it. Now the EPA is really starting to crack down on people deleting their trucks. So if you get caught doing that, they can literally confiscate your truck. Just take it away. So you spend $5,000, get your truck deleted, did all this work, and you're out of luck. Your truck's gone now. So these cars, all these new cars, they're just not going to be collectible. They're all just recycled garbage throwaway cars. The old diesels, they don't have a bunch of emission stuff on them. You can keep them running. They're reliable. They go. Look at it like a 7.3 Power Stroke or a 12-valve Cummins. Those trucks one day are going to be collectible trucks. People are going to want the old 7.3s and the old 12 valves. They're going to want the 24 valves, and they're going to want the 6.0s. All right? People are going to want those trucks 20 years from now because they look good. They can be reliable. The 6.0s, you got to spend like $8,000 to get it reliable, but they can be reliable. The 7.3s, we all know, but doesn't take that much. Change the oil, keep up on the fluids, make sure everything looks good. The truck will run 300,000-400,000 miles, no problem. At that point, you probably have to put some money into it, but even if you have to put $10,000 into it worth of work, you're gonna have a truck that's gonna go another 400,000 miles. So what is $10,000 in 400,000 miles? These new trucks, forget about it. The motors are stupid expensive. All the interior stuff is stupid expensive, and they're not going to be worth anything 30 years from now. People aren't going to want to have all this technology that not only is outdated, but is broken. Another example, let's look at like supercars. You have the McLaren F1, the greatest car ever made, hands down. The McLaren F1 is the best car ever made. I'm sure there's a lot of arguments to that, but for me personally, I feel the McLaren F1 is the best road car ever made. And if you look at it, it's completely mechanical. Granted, yes, things are very expensive for that car. It's a $10 million car. If things break, it is expensive to fix. But it's also very mechanical. You can, some things, if you really, you had the guts, you could probably tackle it, do it yourself. You could do the job yourself. If you really had the guts to do it, As a new McLaren, let's say you got a brand new McLaren Sentra P1. 30 years from now, you have any idea what the cost is going to be like to keep that on the road? Having all the electrical problems, having things that just fail normally as time goes on, the rubber bushing, suspension. You have any idea what the cost is going to be like to keep that car on the road? Why is someone going to pay $500,000 a year to keep a car on a road when they can just go out and go buy the newest, latest supercar? These new cars are just too expensive to own now. And they're just not going to be collectible. There's not really a lot of... There are driver-focused cars. I was going to say there's not a lot of driver-focused cars. There is a lot of driver-focused cars. But they just don't make cars like they used to. And, I feel there's going to be a cutoff point for what cars are collectible and what's not. My friend, he just picked up an S2000. And it's one of those cars that will probably forever hold its value because it's not that, it doesn't have that much technology. His car is very basic. It's a little bit more luxurious than my car, and this car is basic. I mean, he's got manual seats. It's got basic stereo. I mean, everything in the car is pretty much as basic you can get. It doesn't even have heated mirrors. I mean, he has power windows. He's got a power top. He does have, you know, there's power things, but I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think. That's how I feel about it. I really feel that the early 2000s is going to be the cutoff. I'd say from like 2005 to older. That's really going to be the cutoff point to what cars are collectible. Because really, once you start getting past that, they just start getting too advanced. I mean, there's... I partly got some of my inspiration from Hoovie's Garage, if you've seen his videos. And he buys these old cars, you know, even buy newer cars. He'll buy like a... You know, like... This one that I think really inspired me. He had a green AMG wagon. And had 200,000 miles on it. And the previous owner had spent like $10,000 in maintenance records over the years, keeping it alive, keeping it on the road. And then he got it, and then he spent like another $4,000 on it, keeping it on the road. Yeah, it's a cool car, it's a wagon, it's got 500 horsepower, it's a really cool car, it's really nice. But who's going to pay that? You know, eventually there's a point where you go, I'm not paying this much money to keep this car on the road anymore, even though I love it, and it reminds me of my childhood, I've always wanted one. No one is going to pay that much money. At least me. If I was a millionaire, I would not be called dead dumping hundreds of thousands of dollars into a car every year. You know, that would never happen. So, I like my cars reliable, I like my cars to work. And these newer cars, yeah, they're reliable, they work now, they're really nice. You know, heated, cooled seats, they massage you, and they brush your teeth when you know, if you're late and you're driving to work, they'll brush your teeth for you and everything else. But in 20 years from now, guys, this stuff's not going to work. It's going to be broken. And you're going to have all this technology that was inside your car that don't work anymore. You're probably going to have a whole bunch of lights on your dashboard. It's going to look like a Christmas tree. It's going to be Christmas time year-round driving your car. So, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think. And I don't think there's any other points that I wanted to make across here. I don't think there is. I think that's all my points. That's it. Alright. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think. I want to hear your feedback. This is one of those videos that, like, really comment. I really want to hear people's comments, and I want to kind of interact with you guys and really get, like, your opinions on it, you know? But, that's it. Take care, guys, and I'm going to try to upload more. It's just, like I said, I've just been busy, so I'm trying. I'm trying to make more videos. Alright, later.